The Earth had changed since the Treaty of Unity. After decades of quiet watching, the alien race known as the Lorathi made contact, not with weapons, but with poetry, music, and ancient songs that echoed the sadness of stars. They were tall, elegant beings, covered in light-veined skin that shimmered when the sun kissed them. Some called them mysterious, others called them dangerous. But not him. Not Ryan. Ryan was a simple man. He worked the soil in a place called Miris Valley, where the golden grass reached his knees and the skies stretched wide like an open dream. He had scars on his arms, dirt under his fingernails, and a heart that beat a little too fast when the wind carried soft voices from beyond the tree line. That's where he first saw her. She wasn't like the others. The Lorathi usually wore flowing robes that hid every part of them. But this one moved differently. Even fully clothed, there was something about her shape that made Ryan blink twice. She was standing near a stream, her long silken cloak pulled around her tightly, as if she were afraid the wind might whisper her secrets away. But it didn't stop him from noticing. The curve of her waist, the gentle roundness of her hips beneath that silver wrap. The way her fingers touched the water like she was praying to it. Her name was Vela. She turned suddenly and caught Ryan staring. Her violet eyes widened for a moment, not in fear, not in anger, but something more like surprise, as if no one had ever truly looked at her before. Ryan felt the blood rush to his face. Sorry, he said, backing up. Didn't mean to, stare. Viola tilted her head. Her voice was soft, almost like the rustle of silk. You saw something. He scratched the back of his neck. I guess I did. Most do not. She stood taller than he expected. They glance, but they do not see. You unlocked something. Ryan wasn't sure what that meant, but he couldn't look away now. She walked toward him slowly, her robe flowing like a river of silver. As she stepped closer, the fabric clung slightly to her form. Not revealing, just hinting. The kind of beauty that doesn't scream but whispers, just loud enough to be unforgettable. I was told your kind does not mix with mine, she said. Ryan smiled gently. Then they told you wrong. Her lips curved upward, a smile. It was faint, but real. They stood in silence for a moment, the wind tugging at their hair, the stream humming between them. You are a grower, she said, looking at his hands. Farmer, he nodded. I grow food. Keep the land happy. Viola looked back at the valley. Your land listens to you. He chuckled. Nah, it just likes not being yelled at. Her eyes sparkled. That night, Ryan couldn't sleep. He kept thinking of her, the strange way she spoke, the sadness in her smile, and the warmth that lingered in the air after she left. The next day, she was waiting by the stream again. Ryan didn't expect her to return so soon. Yet there she was, just as the morning mist lifted from the valley. Viola standing by the stream, arms folded behind her back like a secret she wasn't ready to share. He approached slowly, not wanting to break whatever gentle spell lingered between them. You came back, he said. I was curious, she replied, her voice even softer today. And your eyes. They made me wonder if you were real. Ryan laughed under his breath. I was about to say the same about you. Viola turned toward him fully, and today her cloak was looser. It fluttered open slightly when the breeze passed, giving him brief, breathtaking glimpses. Her figure was more than beautiful. It was graceful, elegant, like her curves followed. A language older than words. They weren't obvious, but when seen, they stayed in the mind like poetry. Do you always walk alone? She asked, stepping closer. Not always. But I like the quiet, Ryan said. The earth talks better when it's not interrupted. She smiled again, that same soft pull at the corners of her lips that made his chest feel too tight. Your kind has loud hearts. Loud? He raised an eyebrow. They beat fast, not just in the body, in the way you live, the way you feel. It's noisy, but beautiful. Ryan had never heard anything so strange sound so flattering. And your people? Our hearts are quiet, hidden. We do not show, not like you. That sounds lonely, he said honestly. It is, Viola whispered. They walked along the stream together. Ryan showed her the wild vines that grew grapes as sweet as honey. She told him how her people used to grow silver-leafed trees that sang when touched by moonlight. He didn't know if she was being poetic or literal, but he didn't care. He just liked hearing her voice. They reached a sunlit hill where the wind played in the tall grass, and Viola sat down, carefully smoothing her cloak beneath her. Ryan sat beside her, leaving space between them, though every part of him ached to be closer. "Why do you hide?" he asked, eyes watching her fingers pluck gently at a blade of grass. Vela didn't answer right away. Our bodies, they are considered sacred among the Lurathi. Curves, form, emotions. They are not to be shown. Not unless one is chosen. Chosen. Ryan turned to face her fully. A bond. A mate. Only then are we allowed to be seen. Ryan felt a heat rise in his chest. And have you ever wanted to be seen? She looked at him slowly, her violet eyes shimmering. I did not. Until now. Their eyes locked. Ryan felt something shift. The world narrowed. The air grew heavy, not with fear, but with meaning. Vela reached up and undid a small silver clasp near her collarbone. Her cloak loosened slightly, just enough for the fabric to part. It wasn't much, just a little space where her shoulder curved like moonlight. But it felt more intimate than anything Ryan had ever known. I want to understand what you see, she said. He didn't move, didn't dare. Do you think I'm beautiful? She asked softly. Ryan nodded, unable to speak. Vela's voice lowered to a whisper. Then why do your eyes look so sad? Because, Ryan said quietly, you look like something I'll miss before I even get to hold. Vela's lips parted, stunned by the words. Then she did something unexpected. She leaned forward, her forehead gently pressing to his. They stayed that way, breathing the same air, heartbeat against heartbeat. When she pulled back, her fingers lingered on his chest. I have never felt this before. It's loud, but I like it. Ryan reached out, brushing her hand with his. Then stay. Learn the sound of it. Viola nodded once, her voice like silk unraveling in the breeze. I'll stay. As long as you keep looking at me like that. And the sun sank behind the hills, leaving two shadows leaning close in the tall grass, a silent promise between them. The days passed gently, like petals falling from a tree. Viola came every morning now, always waiting by the stream. Each time her cloak seemed a little looser, her laughter a little easier, her eyes staying on Rion just a little longer. She was changing. And Rion could feel something changing in himself too. He had lived quietly for years, satisfied with the land and the sky and the rhythm of seasons. But now he found himself awake at night, thinking of her voice, her touch, the curve of her smile. He remembered the soft parting of her cloak when she let the sunlight kiss her bare shoulder. The image wouldn't leave him, not because it was bold, but because it had felt like a gift. Today, she didn't wear her cloak at all. Instead, Viola wore a long, form-fitting gown made of soft gray fabric that shimmered faintly. It hugged her figure in ways that left Ryan breathless, revealing what had been hidden for so long, Her shape was delicate but strong, full of quiet curves that spoke of beauty and softness, of a body made for both grace and warmth. He tried not to stare, but he failed. Viola noticed. And she smiled. "I wanted you to see," she said simply. "No one else has." Ryan cleared his throat, suddenly feeling like a nervous boy. "You're more beautiful than I even imagined." Viola tilted her head. "I was afraid. My people say desire is dangerous, that if someone sees too much, they will not love the soul beneath it." "I see both," he said, "the shape of you and the light behind it." Her cheeks flushed, a pale rose. Ryan hadn't seen that color on her before. They walked together through the orchard. The air was filled with the scent of ripened fruit and the buzzing of bees. Viola reached up to pluck a pear from a low-hanging branch, and her gown stretched across her back in a way that made Ryan's throat go dry. "You always had this form?" he asked, voice low. Viola nodded. "Yes, but I bound it. Our robes are not just tradition, they dull the senses of others. Hide the truth of our shape. It is protection." "But why protect something so beautiful?" She turned toward him, her expression soft. "Because many would only want the body, not the being." Ryan's heart tightened. He stepped forward and brushed a leaf from her hair. "I want all of you, not just what I see." Her breath caught. "Even the broken parts?" He nodded. "Especially those." She closed the space between them, her hand resting over his chest again, like it had become her favorite place to touch. "You're very warm," she whispered, "and you feel like sunlight when you're near." Viola's lips quivered. "Ryan, may I touch you?" He nodded, unable to speak. She placed her palm gently against his face, her thumb tracing the line of his jaw. Her touch was soft, reverent, as if she thought he might vanish. And then she leaned in, brushing her lips against his. Not a kiss, of passion, but of wonder. Ryan's eyes fluttered shut. The kiss deepened slowly, like two languages learning to speak each other. Her fingers curled into his shirt. His hand found her waist, where her curves fit perfectly beneath his touch. When they finally pulled apart, their foreheads rested together again. "I have never been kissed," Viola whispered. "That was more than I imagined." "I've never kissed anyone like you," Ryan said, "and I don't want to stop." Viola smiled, and for a moment she looked both shy and radiant. "Then don't." They sat beneath the orchard trees until the sun dipped low, fingers entwined, her head resting against his shoulder. And in that silence, where only birds and breeze dared to speak, two hearts beat in perfect rhythm. Whatever was between them, it had already begun to grow. The next morning, Ryan rose with the sun already warm on his skin. He dressed quickly, heart beating with a quiet urgency. He didn't know if Viola would be at the stream again, but a part of him felt certain she would. And she was. She stood, barefoot in the water, her gown gathered around her knees, hair falling freely down her back like dark silk. When she saw him, she smiled, not just with her lips, but with her whole being, like the way flowers turn toward light. "You're early," she said. "So are you," he replied, stepping closer. "I couldn't sleep." Her eyes sparkled. "Every time I closed my eyes, I saw you." Ryan stepped into the water without thinking, boots forgotten, just wanting to be near her. "I dreamed of your voice," he said. It sounded like wind through the leaves. Viola's expression softened. "You make even silence sound beautiful." They stood close in the cool stream, the water flowing between them. Ryan reached out, brushing her damp hair behind her ear. Viola didn't pull away. Instead, she leaned into his touch, closing her eyes like she trusted him completely. Yesterday, she said softly, when you touched me, something inside me woke up. Ryan's voice dropped to a whisper. What do you mean? I always thought my curves were a burden, something to hide, something that would attract the wrong kind of attention. Her fingers curled around his. But when you looked at me, it didn't feel like shame. It felt like being seen, loved. He squeezed her hand gently. Because they aren't a burden. You're not a secret. You're a masterpiece. Violet took a shaky breath. I want to show you everything, Ryan. Not just my body, but what's inside. The part I've never given to anyone. His heart pounded in his chest. Then I'll give you the same. She stepped closer, their bodies nearly touching. Her curves pressed softly into him, and he felt her heartbeat echo against his chest. Her scent was warm, floral, like alien. Blossoms opening at dusk. Violet tilted her face up. Hold me. Ryan wrapped his arms around her slowly, reverently. She melted into him, her arms winding around his waist, her head resting against his shoulder. They stood like that for a long while, just breathing, just feeling. He whispered near her ear, You fit perfectly here. She murmured back, I was afraid you'd pull away. Never. The stream babbled around them, as if singing for the two lovers in its waters. When Viola finally pulled back, she looked into his eyes with new fire. There is something else, she said. Part of the Lurathi bond ritual. Ryan raised an eyebrow. A ritual, she nodded. We don't kiss again after the first one, unless we're ready to choose. It's how we know it's real. His breath caught. And are you ready? Viola's hands came to rest on his chest again. Yes, but only if you are. I've been ready since the first moment I saw you. Standing by the stream, he said, voice full of truth. She smiled, and this time it was brighter than the sun above them. Their lips met again, this time slower, deeper. The kiss was no longer tentative. It was a promise, a joining. It was the beginning of something eternal. Her fingers slid into his hair. His hands cradled her lower back, feeling every curve she had once hidden, and every part of her, every shape, every touch, felt like it belonged in his arms. When they finally parted, their foreheads rested together once more. Ryan whispered, You're not just beautiful, Viola. You're everything. Her eyes shimmered. Then take me to your home. I want to see the life you've built. I want to be part of it. Hand in hand, they walked back through the valley. The golden grass parted for them, the earth beneath their feet soft and welcoming, and, as they approached the cottage, Ryan knew this wasn't just the start of love. This was the beginning of forever. Viola stood in the doorway of Ryan's home, her bare feet on the wooden floor, her eyes wide with wonder. The small cottage was simple. Stone walls, shelves filled with books and tools, a hearth that still held the soft scent of burned oak. But to her, it was magic. This is where you live? She asked softly, stepping inside like the place itself was sacred. Ryan nodded, watching her with a quiet smile. It's not much. It's everything, she whispered, running her fingers along the wooden table, then touching a faded photograph on the shelf. It smells like safety, like you. She turned to face him, her gown brushing the floor, her hair glowing in the soft light that spilled through the window. May I stay? Ryan stepped forward and wrapped his arms around her waist. You never have to ask. That night, they didn't speak much. There was no need for words. They sat by the fire, sharing quiet stories between sips of spiced tea. Viola laughed at the strange way Ryan chopped vegetables. Ryan chuckled when she tried to use a fork backward. And then, when the sky outside darkened and the stars blinked into view, they found each other again, closer this time. Rion led her to the bed, not with urgency, but with reverence. He pulled back the covers, watching her as she slipped off the last layer of her gown. Her curves, once hidden so carefully, were now revealed in full. But it was not lust that filled him. It was awe. She stood there, glowing like moonlight, and she wasn't afraid anymore. "You don't need to hide from me," he said, voice low and tender. "I know," she replied. "Because you never looked at me with hunger. You looked with heart." He reached for her, and she came willingly, slipping into his arms. Their skin met, warm and soft. Their hands explored gently, carefully. Every touch was a question. Every kiss an answer. They didn't rush. They breathed each other in, letting the moment stretch, melt, unfold like a song only they could hear. Ryan's hands caressed the elegant dip of her waist, the gentle swell of her hips. Viola traced the lines of his chest, the strength in his arms, the curve of his jaw. She whispered, "You unlocked something in me, something no one else ever tried to see." "And you changed me," Ryan said. "I didn't know I was waiting until you arrived." Their bodies joined in the quiet flicker of firelight, not in hunger, but in love. It was slow, tender, and full of emotion. Every breath they shared, every sigh was sacred, and when it was over, when they lay tangled together in the warmth of the blankets, Viola rested her head on his chest, listening to his heart. "It beats so strong," she murmured. "Just like you." He kissed her forehead. "It beats for you now." Viola smiled, eyes drifting shut. "I never knew Earth could feel like home." "You made it one," he said. They slept in each other's arms, the stars watching silently from above, the world outside quiet and still. By morning, the air smelled of rain, and the trees danced in the breeze. Viola stood by the window, wrapped in one of Ryan's shirts, her curves soft beneath the loose fabric. She looked back at him with sleepy eyes, then whispered, "What happens now?" Ryan rose, walked over, and placed his hands on her hips. "Now," he said, "we live." "And love?" He smiled. "That's the best part." They kissed again, the kind of kiss that didn't just promise love, but life, a future, a forever. And in that little cottage, where a secret had been unlocked not with force, but with kindness, two souls found what they never knew they needed, each other.